Legacy car makers are under intense pressure, and no more so than Alfa Romeo. The Italian brand is not only facing huge competition from its traditional luxury rivals, but also from a bunch of newcomer brands, a lot of them from China. But Alfa Romeo says this is the answer. It's the Junior. It is the smallest and most affordable Alfa Romeo you can currently buy, but it has a huge task ahead of it. It's not only got to attract a new breed of buyers, but it's also got to help revive Alfa Romeo's sales. So yes, the Junior is a super important car for Alfa Romeo, and a pint-sized one at that. Now, Alfa refers to it as a small SUV, but the brand also openly says that it also crosses over into hatchback territory. Think of it as a modern replacement for the Mito or the Giulietta, those small hatchbacks previously in the Alfa lineup. And it is fully electrified. There's a single model in the range, but it's available with two drivetrains. You can either get this one I'm in, which is the Ibrida, or hybrid in Italian, and it pairs a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbo engine with a 21 kilowatt electric motor, part of a 48 volt mild hybrid system. Pretty different in the way the mild hybrid system works. A lot of them don't actually drive the wheels. They're just there for ancillaries and for allowing the stop-start system to work more frequently. But in this car, it does actually drive the wheels. So the electric motor plays a pretty significant role in terms of how the car performs and drives. It hasn't got a whole lot of grunt. You're looking at 107 kilowatts and 230 newton meters. And that car sells for $45,900 plus on-road costs. Now pay another 12 grand and you get the electric, or electrica as they refer to it. And that car gets a single electric motor, and it makes 115 kilowatts, 260 newton meters. So a bit more thrust there. That said, the electric one apparently is slightly slower because it's heavier. Obviously got a bigger battery pack, or a big battery pack there, 54 kilowatt hours, 407 kilometers of WLTP range. And this hybrid model I'm in, it's no fireball. You're looking at 0 to 100 in 8.9 seconds. So when you step on it, stuff happens, but it's relatively modest. But it does have a bit of personality, a bit of zing to it. You've got a nice little thrum from the 3-cylinder engine, so that's got a bit of personality. And it's actually pulls pretty well. It's got relatively good torque or pulling power, combined with that turbo engine, but also the electric motor. Low in the rev range, it's got a bit of thrust there. It's pretty useful. But it's the chassis that gives this car its Italian or Alfa Romeo personality. It's actually quite agile, the sort of car that relishes a few corners, and it is competent. So when you start flinging it around, when you start piling into some corners and some tightening hairpins, it hangs on. It does a really good job. By SUV standards, this is certainly one of the better driving ones. Plus, it is relatively easy to live with. The controls are fairly light, doesn't use a whole lot of fuel, and for the most part, it's pretty comfortable. The suspension's an interesting one. It's actually quite compliant in a lot of situations, and almost bordering on plush. But then in other times, when you're on chopped up surfaces, for example, it sort of gets a little bit brittle, doesn't deal with it too well. There are the occasional gripes. No grab handles inside, for example. That's more of an issue on the passenger side, particularly if someone decides to unleash that sportiness from the driver's seat. And also a fair bit of wind noise. So when you're sitting on 100, 110 k's an hour, a bit of rustling going around, a bit more than you'd expect. But some of the design elements are pretty cool. The interior is a bit of a mixed bag. You've got the focus very much on the driver, these two big sort of circular dials which hone that digital instrument cluster in on the driver a bit more. The center console tilted towards the driver, so a little bit of that driver focus going on. And some nice little thoughtful extras. The snake logo, for example, built into the air vents, and also on the rear pillars, the C-pillars at the back of the car, you got it laser etched onto that too. So that's pretty cool, something a bit different. And different is something that the Junior does really well. So is the Junior the shot in the arm that Alfa Romeo needs? Well, it's got the look, which is super important in that market, and it is playing at the right end of the market below that 50 grand barrier. And of course, it is fun to drive. Yes, it's got a bit of zip, a bit of spark, albeit lacking some of the firepower that some may expect from an Italian brand. Of course, it's the EV version we're really interested in. We'll be getting behind the wheel of that pretty soon.